Yeah, so totally from exception number 1 to exception number 255. So in that exception, so again there are internal interrupts and external interrupts. So internal interrupts are known as exceptions. So from exception number 1 to exception number 15. Okay, so from exception number 1 to exception number 15. So they are internal interrupts, which are also known as exceptions. So that is what is available here. Okay. And then from exception number 16 to 255, they are external interrupts or just simply known as IRQs. Okay. So you can see the range from 0 to 239. So totally 240 external interrupts. Okay. Plus 16 internal interrupts. So totally it supports 256. So maximum interrupts or exceptions it supports is 256. So out of 256, you can use let's say 5 or 10 or 15 based on your application. You can cut short the interrupts. Okay, or but the maximum is 256. Okay, so next we will talk about the built-in nested vectored interrupt. Okay, so before going to this, see yesterday I abruptly exited the meeting. Okay, why? Because I got an interrupt actually. Yeah, so I got an interrupt from the principal saying that, so I need to immediately go to his cabin. Okay, so this was a interrupt and this was a non-maskable interrupt. Okay, so I couldn't mask it, so I couldn't say no because it was from the principal, so I had to go and attend to that interrupt. Okay, so that is why it is set as non-maskable interrupt, and it is the interrupt with highest priority. Okay, so highest priority interrupt. Since I had to service the interrupt, so that is why I exited the meeting in between. Okay, and before exiting the meeting, so what I did was, first thing is I saved the contents. Okay, so directly I did not service that interrupt, the non-maskable interrupt, that is the call from the principal. First I saved the contents. Okay, so what are the contents I saved? First thing is I downloaded the attendance. Okay, I downloaded the attendance of the session, and then I downloaded the recorded video also of the session. So directly I did not jump to servicing the interrupt, the non-maskable interrupt, that is the call from the principal. Okay, so before attending that, first thing is I saved the present context. That is, I saved the present attendance of the current meeting as well as the recorded video of the meeting, and then only I attended that particular interrupt from the principal, which was non-maskable interrupt. Okay, so remember this. So before attending or servicing any interrupt, the processor or the controller, what it will do is it will first save the present context. Okay, save the present context in the sense, see, it is doing some job. Okay, so as soon as the interrupt comes, it has to leave the job and service the interrupt. Correct. But before doing that, it will save the present context, means it will save the intermediate data. Okay, whatever the intermediate data, everything will be saved. It will be first saved. Okay, why? Because once it goes and attends the non-maskable interrupt, or once it goes and attends the interrupt service, okay, and it services that interrupt, after completing that interrupt, that is the ISR, it has to come back to wherever it had left off. Okay, so wherever it had left off. So how it will come back? By saving the present context, that is nothing but saving the present intermediate data, whatever it was doing. So by saving this, so it is saving the present context, so that after completing that interrupt, it can come back to this intermediately saved data and it can continue its operation from that particular point. Okay, so this is very important. Fine. Yeah, so with this we'll go to the built-in nested vectored interrupt controller, so which is also known as NVIC. So in the ARM Cortex core, okay, so we had seen this NVIC. So it was a dedicated hardware only to handle the interrupts. Okay, so it is available and it is dedicated only to handle interrupts. So hence interrupts will be handled much faster compared to other processors or controllers. Okay, so Cortex M3 processor includes an interrupt controller called Nested Vectored Interrupt Controller, NVIC, and it provides the following features. So what are all the features it provides, NVIC? So first thing is it supports nested interrupt support. Okay, so we shall see each what do you mean by this later. So next is vectored interrupt support, vectored. Next is dynamic priority changes support. Okay, so next is reduction of interrupt latency. See, latency means time you require to service a particular request. Okay, so the time the request is submitted. Okay, so you submit the request and the time it takes to service that interrupt. Okay, or you complete the interrupt. So whatever the time between, so this is the latency. Okay. So next is interrupt masking. So we already know interrupt masking. So there are three dedicated special purpose registers for interrupt masking itself. Okay. Yeah. So now we talk about nested interrupt support. So what do you mean by nested interrupt support? So NVSE provides this nested interrupt support. All the external interrupts and most of the system exceptions. So system exceptions means they are internal interrupts. Okay. So most of the external interrupts and the system exceptions, that is the internal interrupts, can be programmed to different priority levels. Okay, so the priority levels can be programmed. So that we saw in this table. Okay, so you can see here from exception number 4, the interrupt priority is manageable or it can be changed based on your application. So that is what this nested interrupt support means. Okay, so you can program the priority levels. So when an interrupt occurs, so the NVSE compares the priority of this interrupt to the current running priority level. Okay, so if the priority of the new interrupt is higher than the current level, okay, so the interrupt handler of the new interrupt will override the current running task. So what do you mean by this? So I'll give an example for that. So before that, so let's say you consider this table. So reset is the highest priority. Remember that. Okay. So next highest priority interrupt is NMI, and next highest priority interrupt is hard fault. Okay. So with this basic, so I'll give an example. So let's say your processor. So let's say. So let's say the processor. Okay. This is your ARM microcontroller. Okay, so ARM Cortex M3 microprocessor or controller. So let's say it has three interrupts. We'll assume that it has only 3 interrupts for timing. Okay, so which are those interrupts? So one is reset. Okay, so next is NMI and next is hard fault. So let's say only 3 interrupts are required for this application. So hence only it supports 3 interrupts. So since there are 3 interrupts, there will be 3 ISRs. So this is ISR for reset sequence, interrupt service routine for reset sequence. So this is interrupt service routine for NMI. So remember how many interrupts will be there? Those many ISRs will be there, interrupt service routine. So for hard fault, there is ISR for hard fault. Okay. So 3 interrupts and 3, you can say 3 ISRs are there. So let's say, so we already know the priority levels of these 3 interrupts. Okay. So which is having the highest priority? Reset. Okay. So reset is having the highest priority. And what is the value of that? -3. So it is having the highest priority. So next highest priority is given to NMI and next highest priority is -1, which is the hard fault. Okay. So let's say now an interrupt has come from the hard fault. Okay. So since the interrupt has come from the hard fault, so whose priority is -1 and there is no other interrupt presently. So the processor will switch to executing the ISR for hard fault. Okay, so which is ISR underscore fault. So this is the ISR for hard fault interrupt. So hence it will start to execute this ISR for hard fault. Okay, so it is executing some instructions. So there will be some instructions which tell the processor what should be done if there is a hard fault. Okay, if hard fault takes place, what should be done? That is there here. So the processor starts executing these instructions one by one. This. So now, according to this statement here, so what he says is, see, when an interrupt occurs, okay, the NVIC compares the priority of this interrupt to the current running priority level. Okay, so that is what the processor will do. So now already an interrupt has taken place whose priority is -1. So hence it is executing the ISR for that. Okay. So now let's say during the execution of this ISR for hard fault, one more interrupt takes place, which is the NMI, interrupt NMI, whose priority is -1. Okay. So now according to the statement, what the processor will do, or what the NVIC will do, is it will compare the priority of the newly occurred interrupt. Okay, so what is the newly occurred interrupt now? It is NMI, okay, whose priority is -2. Okay, so it will compare the priority of the newly occurred interrupt with the priority of the currently executing task. Okay, so what is the currently executing task? It is the ISR for hard fault, and its priority is -1. So both this -1 and -2 will be compared. Okay. So once it is compared, what is the next thing the processor will do is, so you can see here, yeah, so if the priority of the new interrupt is higher than the current level, so the interrupt handler for the new interrupt will override the current interrupt. Okay, so it will compare these two priorities, and if the priority of the newly occurred interrupt is high than the currently running interrupt, so the new interrupt will override the current interrupt. That is what you mean by that. So in this case also, that is the case. You can see here. So you know that the lesser the value, more is the priority. So -2 is having more priority compared to -1. That is, NMI is having more priority compared to the hard fault. Hence, what the processor will do is, so it will immediately pause the execution of this ISR. ISR, which is for hard fault. So it will pause this. Okay, so pause in the sense it will save entire contents. Okay, it will save the entire contents. Then what it will do is it will immediately switch to executing the ISR for NMI. Why? Because the newly occurred interrupt, which is the NMI, is having the higher priority compared to the hard fault. So hence, what it will do, it will immediately pause the execution of ISR for fault, that is hard fault. Pause in the sense it will save the context. So what do you mean by save the context? So yesterday I gave the example of yesterday. So first I downloaded the attendance, then I downloaded the video, that is saving the context, and then only I went for servicing the interrupt. Okay. Same thing will happen here. So it will save the present context. So whichever instruction it is executing, it will save the contents of the result of that instruction. Okay, it will save the instruction number also, so where it is there and where it has to go next. Okay, everything is saved. Then it will jump to executing the next interrupt, which is the newly arrived interrupt, which is having more priority compared to the presently executing interrupt. So hence it will start the execution of NMI. Okay, the ISR for NMI. Again, one by one instruction it will go on executing. Fine. So after executing everything, so that is what should happen whenever an interrupt NMI takes place. So it will do all the things that should be done whenever an NMI takes place. And once ISR of NMI completes, then what it will do is it will switch back to the interrupt service routine of the hard fault, because that is where it was interrupted. Okay, it was executing the ISR for hard fault, then it was interrupted by a higher priority task, which was NMI. So then it immediately jumped to that ISR for servicing the NMI, and it has now completed the ISR for servicing the NMI. So then it has to come back. Okay, so where it has to come back? It has to come back to the instruction where it was interrupted previously. So here it was interrupted, right? So it will come back here. Okay, how it will come back? Because it had previously paused the execution. That is, it had previously saved all the contents so that it can come back, okay, to wherever it had left off. So using this data which was previously saved, it will come back to this point, okay, and it will continue from that point to execute the ISR for hard fault. Okay, so this is what will happen. Okay, so this is what is explained here. Okay, so if the priority of the newly arrived interrupt is greater than or higher than the currently servicing task, okay, so obviously the currently serviced task will be paused, okay, and the higher priority interrupt that has come, that will be attended first. Okay, so for this I'll give an example. Okay, so suppose I am handling the class. Okay, so the class is going on. So now to the class, our department HOD enters. Okay, so our department HOD enters the class. So currently the teacher is handling the class, let's say. Currently the teacher is handling the class. So some class is going on. Okay, so now the department HOD enters the class. So hence what will happen? The teacher who is taking the class, he will be paused. Okay, paused in the sense he will be temporarily stopped. He will be temporarily stopped. Why? Because an interrupt has come. So that interrupt is HOD, and HOD is having higher priority to compared to teacher. So let's say the teacher is having priority -1, but HOD is having a priority -2. So obviously HOD's priority is greater than teacher. So hence teacher will be paused now. Okay, so teacher will pause and he will save the data. Save the data means he will remember which topic he was discussing. Okay, he will remember and he will write it down somewhere which topic he was discussing prior to HOD coming and interrupting him. So he will write down this topic somewhere so that he can continue after HOD leaves. Okay, after HOD leaves the class, he can continue from the topic which he was discussing previously. Okay, that is why he saves the topic. So saves the topic. Okay, now HOD comes to the class and he is addressing something. Okay, so some data is addressing, he is conveying some information. Okay, so now he will be paused. He will be paused. Why? Because one more higher priority interrupt, that is principal, will come and interrupt the HOD. Okay, principal will come and interrupt the HOD. So principal priority is -3. So obviously -3 is having highest priority compared to -2. So hence HOD will be paused now. Okay, and HOD again before pausing, so he will save the topic he was discussing, because once the principal leaves, okay, he has to continue the topic from wherever he was paused, from wherever he was interrupted by the principal, right? So now the principal will take over the stage and he will convey whatever he wants. Okay, so once he conveys whatever he wants and he leaves, so once he leaves, then what will happen? So after principal leaves, so the control will be transferred to HOD, because HOD was preempted before principal came, right? So the control will be transferred to HOD, and since HOD had already saved the data or the topic that he was discussing before principal interrupted him, so he can continue from wherever he had left. So he will remember the topic that he was discussing, and he will continue from that. Okay, so he will continue from that. Okay, after that, so after HOD resumes his talk and he completes his talk, so then the control will be given back to the teacher. So from principal, the control will be given to HOD, and from the HOD, the control will be given back to the teacher. Once HOD finishes, teacher will assume the charge, and since he has already saved the topic which he was discussing previously, he will continue from that, because he knows where he had left before HOD preempted him or which HOD interrupted him, right? Yes, so he will continue and he will finish the job. So this is the hierarchy, how it will work. Okay, so this is what you mean by nested interrupt support. So this is provided by NVIC. Okay, so hope I am clear. So next support or next feature that NVIC gives is vectored interrupt support. So vectored interrupt support, what do you mean by that is, see, Cortex M3 processor has vectored interrupt support. What do you mean by that is, when an interrupt is accepted, that is when an interrupt takes place and the processor acknowledges that interrupt has taken place. So it means the processor has accepted it. The starting address of the ISR, okay, the starting address of the interrupt service routine is located from a vector table in the memory. Okay, vector table in the memory. So there is no need to use no need to use a software to determine and branch the starting address of the ISR. Okay, so thus it takes less time for this process, okay, to process the interrupt request. Okay, so this is vectored support. So what do you mean by this? So again, so I'll show this using a diagram once again. So what do you mean by this is, so this is the processor. Okay, so this is the ARM Cortex microcontroller or processor, so which has some interrupts. Okay, which has some interrupts. So let's say this is IRQ1. Okay, so this is IRQ2, and this is IRQ3. Okay, so now since there are 3 interrupts, there will be 3 ISRs. Okay, so there will be 3 interrupt service routines for servicing these interrupts. See, ISRs are nothing but they are the subroutines which will be executed whenever that particular interrupt has taken place. Okay, why? Because see, whenever IRQ1 takes place, that is interrupt request 1 takes place, so you should process it. Process in the sense, see, that interrupt can be a key press. Okay, so if it is a key press, what should happen whenever a key is pressed? Okay, so let's say an LED should be turned on. So to turn on the LED, the code to turn on that LED will be available in the ISR. Okay, it will be available in the ISR that is associated with that interrupt. So in this case, it is for IRQ1, the ISR is ISR1. So for IRQ2, it is ISR2. So for IRQ3, it is ISR3. So these are the codes. Okay, that will be executed whenever such interrupts take place. Okay, so now what do you mean by vectored support is, let's say the IRQ2 has taken place. Okay, so that is interrupt request 2 or the interrupt 2 has taken place in the microprocessor. So the microprocessor has to start executing the code that will service the IRQ2, that is interrupt request 2. Okay, so which is that code? It is ISR2. So this is the code, because ISR2 will contain the code that should be executed whenever IRQ2, that is interrupt request 2, has happened. Okay, so now the processor has to start executing ISR2. Okay, but the question is, where is the ISR2? That is, where is the code located which is corresponding to interrupt request 2 that should be executed whenever the interrupt request 2 takes place? Where is this code? Okay, so that code will be there in some memory location. It will start from some memory location. So how to locate that? How to locate that memory location? See, to locate this location, so you can use software for that. Okay, you can write one more piece of code, okay, which will locate the starting address of this ISR2, and it will start executing. So you can write one more piece of code. But remember, if you go on writing such piece of codes, usually software will take more time compared to hardware. So if it is a hardware implemented feature, the time required is less always. And if it is implemented through a software, the time required will be more. Okay, so here in Cortex M3, it is implemented using a vector table, which is a hardware. Okay, so there will be a vector table. So this is a memory. Okay, this is memory. So within this MUP, there is a memory known as vector table. So what this vector table will have? See, it will have, since it is memory only, it will have locations like this. Okay, just remember that these are locations. And since it is a table, what this table will contain is, it will contain the starting addresses of all the interrupt service routines, okay, that are supported by the ARM Cortex M3 microcontroller or processor. Okay, so it will contain the starting addresses of all the ISRs. Remember that. Okay, so now, so let's say in this location, so it will contain the starting address. Okay, so start address. It contains the start address of, let's say, ISR1. It will contain the start address of ISR1. Okay. Next location in this table will contain the start address of ISR2. Okay. Next location will contain the start address of ISR3. Okay, ISR 1, 2, 3. So each location contains a starting address of particular ISRs. Okay, so now which ISR I want? I want the starting address of ISR2 because IRQ2 has taken place. So to service IRQ2, I require ISR2 to execute ISR2. So where is that available? Here in this location. So now the processor will consult this vector table and it will find out where is the starting address of ISR2. So it is available in this location. Okay, in this location, correct? So it will fetch this address. Okay, it will fetch this address and it will directly jump to that address in the memory. So once it jumps to that address, there in that address, in that location, you can start executing ISR2 from that particular address. From that particular address, you can start executing ISR2. Okay, so this will consume less time. So this is what you mean by vectored support. Okay, so that is the interrupts are vectored interrupts. Okay, vectored interrupt support. This is what you mean by this. So there is a separate hardware which is a memory location, which is a memory table. Okay, which is known as vector table. So this is known as vector table, which will take care of all the starting addresses of the ISR. It will store all the starting addresses of the ISR. So the processor will come and consult this table and it will start executing that ISR by fetching the address. Okay, so hope I am clear. So this is the second feature that NVIC provides. Okay. So next, so we'll come to the third feature that NVIC supports or provides. So that is dynamic priority changes. So it will support dynamic priority changes. Okay, so what do you mean by dynamic priority changes? So I'll give an example for that also. Yeah, so I'll take the example of the previous example that we just discussed. Okay, so what is that example? So a teacher is handling a class. Okay, teacher is handling a class. So the teacher priority is -1. Okay, so he is handling the class. So HOD comes and interrupts him. Why HOD interrupts the teacher? Why? Because HOD is having highest priority compared to the higher priority compared to the teacher. Hence, HOD is allowed to interrupt the teacher. Okay, but if a student comes and tries to interrupt the teacher, let's say the student priority is 0, then the student cannot interrupt the teacher. No, student cannot interrupt the teacher. Why? Because student priority is less than the teacher priority. So teacher will continue his class. He will not be interrupted. Okay, getting what I'm saying? So teacher will not be interrupted if student tries to interrupt him. So teacher will be interrupted only if a person who is having more priority compared to the teacher will preempt him or interrupt him. Okay, so in this case, HOD has preempted him or interrupted the teacher. Why? Because HOD is having more priority. Okay, so now the teacher is interrupted. So what he will do is he will pause his lecture, pause in the sense temporarily stop him. So and he will save the topic where he was interrupted so that he can continue from there. Okay, save topic. Now HOD has interrupted the teacher, so HOD is delivering some information. Okay, now one more person who is the principal, who is having highest priority, which is -3, comes and interrupts the HOD. Okay, he will interrupt the HOD. HOD will be interrupted. Why? Because principal priority is more, so he will be interrupted. So HOD will pause, okay, and he will also save the topic he was discussing, okay, before he was interrupted, so that because principal has interrupted him and principal will start to share some data. Okay, so now with this arrangement, we shall talk about this. What do you mean by dynamic priority changes? See, priority levels of interrupts can be changed by software during runtime. Okay, so whatever the priorities you have fixed to the interrupts that you have given, you can change them during execution only. That is why it is known as dynamic. It is not static, it is dynamic. Okay, so during the execution, you can change the interrupt priority. So interrupts that are being serviced are blocked from further activation until ISR is completed. So their priority can be changed without risk of accidental re-entry. So what do you mean by this is, so now, so if you take the arrangement like this, so now principal is discussing something because his priority is -3 and no one can interrupt principal because he is having the highest priority. Now, what you can do is you can dynamically reprogram the priorities of the interrupts. Okay, so now the processor, so the programmer, he will change the priority of the teacher from -1 to -4, and this is done this is done during the execution. So as soon as this happens, now the teacher is having more priority compared to the principal. So what will happen next then? Obviously, the teacher will come and preempt the principal, or he will interrupt the principal. Why? Because his priority has changed now. From -1, it is dynamically changed to -4. So obviously now the principal will be paused. Principal will be paused and he will again save his topic. Okay. And now the control will be given to teacher, whose priority is -4 now. So teacher, he will resume his class. Okay, so whatever the topics he had saved, he will resume his class. So resume. Since he had saved, he will resume the class and he will continue. Okay, so this is what you mean by dynamic priority changes. Okay, so this is the other feature that is supported by NVSC. Next is reduction of interrupt latency. So as I told, what do you mean by latency means? See, latency is the time taken to start processing a request. Okay, it is the time taken to start processing a request. That's all. Okay, so example. So let's say some interrupt has taken place, NMI. So it has taken place at time 2 seconds. Okay, so it has taken place at time 2 seconds. So that is the request is submitted at 2 seconds time. Okay, but the processor, okay, the processor will start the execution of the ISR for NMI at, let's say, 4 seconds. Okay, so the request is submitted at 2 seconds. The interrupt has come at 2 seconds, but the processing of this interrupt starts at 4 seconds. That is when the ISR starts. So the time between the request submission and its execution, or the start of the processing of the request, that is nothing but the latency. Okay, so this latency is reduced, okay, using NVIC. That is what is discussed here, reduction of interrupt latency. So how you reduce this? One thing is there is interrupt nested vectored interrupt support. Okay, so all the starting addresses are available in the vector table, so you can immediately access the vector table and directly jump to executing the ISR, which will save time compared to software. So obviously it will reduce the latency, the delay. Okay, so Cortex M3 supports number of advanced features to lower the interrupt latency. Okay, so these include, so other features apart from vector table, what are the other features that are used to save or which are used to reduce the delay to service the interrupt are? So one is automatic saving and restoring of some registers. Okay, so whenever an interrupt takes place, automatic saving and restoring takes place. So what do you mean by that is, so here, if you come to this context here, so the context of saving. Okay, so as soon as the teacher is interrupted by the HOD, so teacher saves the topic, right? So the saving of the topic is left to the teacher. But in Cortex M3, what the processor will do is, so this saving of some important registers is taken care by the ARM Cortex M3 itself. So the processor itself will save these some registers. So hence it is faster. So the saving becomes faster and loading of the registers also is taken care by the ARM Cortex M3 processor. Okay, so this is the extra feature which will help to save, which will help to delay, reduce the delay or reduce the latency. Okay, so automatic saving and restoring register contents, then reducing delay in switching from one ISR to another and handling late arrival interrupts. Okay, so along with this, vector table is also available. Okay, So next feature NVIC supports is interrupt masking. So we already know about interrupt masking and which are the registers: base pry, fault pry, and base pry mask and fault mask. So out of these three, two are 1-bit registers, and this base pry is of 8-bit register. So it can be up to 8 bits. So we have seen what these do and how they mask, how they disable the interrupts. Okay, already we have discussed that. Fine. So any doubts here?